All right, friends, good morning. It is 10:29 by my clock. And so we've got a lot of information to cover today. So I wanted to get started as soon as possible. So as you're coming into the room, notice I've got ArtsBuild's Arts Wire up online. So if you are not familiar with ArtsWire, then you need to get familiar, especially as a member of our local arts community. And so the way that you can make sure that you get all of these updates and this information every week is to go to the ArtsBuild webpage, artsbuild.com, and you will be prompted once you get to our home screen to enter your email address so you can receive this information. You can also scroll to the bottom of the page and enter your email. But that's where we post information like what we're doing today with our Friday community Zoom, which we hold once a month. It's also got information about grant opportunities and other workshops that we have going on, opportunities to experience the arts in its many forms in our community. Specifically right now, we are open to accepting applications for our Opportunity Fellowship. That is our college internship program that ArtsBuild hosts with at least 3 to 4 of its community arts partners. Those are the folks who receive our mission support grant. And so lots of information. So make sure you are taking advantage of that. The information changes every week. And if you have programming that you'd like to share, please make sure that you share that with us. So feel free to reach out to Melissa Aston or myself, who are both on the Zoom today, so that we can let you know how you can get that done for your organization. So welcome everybody. I'm Amy Loudermilk. I am the programs manager for ArtsBuild. I'm so glad that you're here today on a Friday at 10:30. We've got a lot of great information coming from our friends from Humanities Tennessee. We've got Serenity Gerbman, who handles the literary programs, and Melissa Davis, who's on here, who handles the grants programming. And so Serenity, Melissa, did y'all decide who wanted to go first to talk to us about programs and money?
I'll go first if that's okay.
Okay. All right, great. So just like I mentioned, Melissa Davis is the director of grants, and I forgot the last part.
Public programs.
There we go. Public programming. I got the programming part. So grants and public programming, so glad to have you here. You've got a lot of great funding opportunities available to our program. So that's why we wanted you to jump on here with us and tell us about what's going on. So I will leave it to you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to talk today about our general grant program because it is currently open and available for application. Humanities Tennessee is a private nonprofit that serves the entire state with grant funding from the National Endowment for the Humanities. So we get federal dollars to re-grant at the state level, all across, for all different kinds of organizations and humanities projects. So basically, what we fund through the general grant program are pilot projects or one-time projects that are humanities based. So these are projects that invite audiences to think critically, to reflect, to interpret, and provide the social, historical, and cultural context in which to do that. So whatever the subject is, which with the humanities, it could be virtually anything. Whatever the subject of the public program is, there is a context provided for folks who are participating to help them understand the significance and the meaning and the role of whatever that subject matter is. And in this case, in many of the cases here, it may be the arts, right? Performing or visual or otherwise literary. So that's the kind of projects that the general grant program is designed to fund. We have, it's not a huge program. We have about $100,000 budget total for the state this year. So our average grants range from about $6,000 to $12,000, just depending on the kind of project it is. What happens is we put together an outside panel. This includes maybe one of our board members and then other practitioners out in the larger community. And they review a draft of the project proposal, and then we provide feedback on that draft. And then they review a final submission for those project proposals. And then those recommendations from the outside panel go to our board, who approve the recommendations. The timeline for this, which occurs annually, is roughly the same each year. So the draft deadline is the end of March, and the final deadline is in early May. And these are for projects that begin roughly at the end of May, early June. The best way to go about starting this process is either to contact me about your idea, or go to our grants page on our website, which has a place to request an application. And that request form asks for basic information: how much you want, what do you want to use it for, that kind of thing. And then we respond with questions and follow up. And if it's eligible, we send out a link to our application portal, which we use Foundant. Some of you may be familiar with that. So it's all online, it's all digital. Some of the factors that I think our grant program has that are key is that, as I said, we fund one-time or pilot projects. And so none of the grant funds can help support general operating. This includes staffing or other operating expenses and annual events or ongoing work. This money is specifically for project-specific one-time or pilot endeavors. We, given our grant resources that we have for the whole state, we just simply can't, or are not in a position to fund sort of things that are already happening, right? Or operating support. Another key factor is, and many of you, will understand that we have matching requirements. So we have, for our grants, the matching requirements are 1-to-1. So if you ask for $6,000, you have to match $6,000 in cost sharing. The $6,000 in cost sharing can be either cash, so any kind of time the staff spends on the grant, or in kind, which is volunteer time or donated materials or resources. So although the match is 1-to-1, it doesn't mean you have to have $6,000 in cash to put towards it. So that there's a combination there, and that can be very flexible. And there's specific guidelines. If there's any more detailed questions, I can go into that. Another thing that we do require for our grants is a combination of what we call advisory panel or a humanities advisory team. And what that does is it requires a combination of the active involvement of humanities scholars, practitioners, and community experts. So any project that is applying for this program must have on board some combination of these folks. Humanities advisors are typically considered folks in the humanities who have a master's or above degrees. Practitioners include folks who are, say, museum curators, or whatever kind of practitioner would be specific for your project. If you're going to do an exhibit, you want to have a curator. If you're going to do a podcast, you want to have that kind of digital expert working with it. And then community experts is a requirement that you need to involve and pay people that you're talking about, that are the subject of your project, that kind of thing. And this is obviously, is something very central to the values of Humanities Tennessee and the grant making, is that this involvement isn't just about people, but also for people and from the perspectives of those that are being the subject of projects and that kind of thing. So the grant matching, the community experts, and these are things that I feel like are oftentimes specific to Humanities Tennessee grants, and we get a lot of questions about. So I just wanted to point those out at the front end. And basically the spirit of this project is to support, providing that historical, social, and cultural context to whatever activity or endeavor you're undertaking. So in this case, it may be arts interpretation, whether it's visual, performing, literary, that kind of thing. So we don't fund the creation of art or the performance of art, but we fund those aspects that would involve providing people with a broader context in which to interpret and understand the significance of all of these things. And so the general grant program does occur annually, like I said. It's all on our website, the deadlines, the criteria, the guidelines, the place to request an application. But if you're not sure, the best thing to do is just to contact me, either phone or email, and just talk about what you want to do. We have, sort of an approach to this that is, our goal is to say yes. Our goal is to be able to support the humanities wherever they're occurring. So we provide feedback, we provide guidance. It's part of the reason why we are now starting to require a draft of the proposals, so that we can get all of those nuts and bolts details ahead of the final deadline and address them where needed, to help ensure the approval of those projects. So that's kind of our approach to that. We do have a couple of other funding mechanisms. One is called our opportunity grants, which is designed for organizations that are small, basically with a budget of $150,000 annually or less. And these projects have a maximum award of $2,500, and there's no deadline. It's a very streamlined and expedient kind of process, whereby you send us a letter telling us what you want to do and a budget, and then we work with you from there to get that approved, if it's possible. And so again, that's ongoing. We set aside about $30,000 a year for that project, and it's on a first come, first serve basis. And then the other thing that we also offer, and this opportunity is just passed, so this would be for next year, is for any of your organizations that do a lot of different kinds of cultural programming, or exhibitions, or anything like that. We provide scholarships for individuals to attend our state Museum Association conference every year. So it's hosted every March in some part of the state, and it's basically what you would expect, a museum conference. But it's very much about making connections with other cultural programmers, other folks who are who not just are putting together exhibits, but also doing other kinds of things in the community and with the public. And it's a great sort of network and community that's thriving around the state, for folks who are just involved in cultural activities in a broad number of ways. And we've been doing that for 20 years. And so every year we'll send out a call for people to apply for that scholarship. And it covers the conference registration, it covers the hotel, and membership in TAM, the Tennessee Association of Museums, every year. So the general grants, the opportunity grants, and then the TAM scholarships are three of our primary ways of grant making and awarding around the state. And I think I'll just leave it at that and hopefully answer some questions if time allows.
Yes, we have some time for questions. Let's see. John Beater just made a comment in the chat, said, "Hey, Melissa, we received a general grant from Humanities Tennessee grant in 2022. Am I able to apply again in 2023 with the same project or a different project?"
The short answer is yes, you would be able to apply again for either the same or different project.
Thanks for the question, John. Also, folks, you can unmute yourself and jump in. I know that can be kind of awkward sometimes, but yeah, just jump in if you've got a question.
Oh, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Jarrell Woods, representing the Black Rainbow Movement. Melissa, my question is in regards to the requirements for the, I believe you call this one the general grant, in regards to the involvement of You said the community experts. You named 3 types, and I tried to take the note them down really quickly, but I only got the community expert, and you said someone involved in that field that has a master's degree or more. But it seemed like there may have been some other requirements that, because like I'm trying to figure out exactly was it you had to have involvement of a combination of those 3 people, or either or? So it has to be like a combination of them.
Yes, a combination. The third one was practitioner.
Practitioner, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you called it community expert, practitioner, and the other one was
A humanities scholar.
A humanities scholar. Okay, all right. And you said that the how you all define those is outlined within the website, correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you. That was my question.
And one thing we also have on the website that I want to point out is we have, our application process is all online, but we do have a PDF of what the grant application looks like. So you can go and open that up and you can look at, where it has all of these very specific requirements, just to get a sense of, what we mean when we say this and what those exact definitions are. And, it does change a little bit of the applications overall from year to year, but mostly it's the same. So that's a good place to go and get a sense of what we were going to be asking for. And then if you have specific questions about it, we can go from there.
Thank you.
Hey, Melissa, this is Richard Daigle. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thanks.
Okay. I'm a local musician. I'm singer-songwriter. And for the last couple of years, I started something a few years ago called Chattanooga Song Circle, where I host an evening with local songwriters. We share original songs and stories about the writing process, and done it at different venues around town. And I've always thought it'd be great to have some sort of grant support for something like that. Would this be something possible for an opportunity grant?
Well, there's a couple of things. So if an organization wanted to bring you there to do that, they could get an opportunity grant to do that, to pay you and cover those expenses. Otherwise, content wise and all that, that's exactly what we mean by arts interpretation, right? But if that's what you do, if that's what your nonprofit is doing, then it's not a one-time or pilot project.
Right. It would be, this would be something that, well, before I was doing them pretty much monthly, and I'm doing it now at a venue monthly. So if I worked with a venue to do this, then they could apply.
Yes.
Is that the type of thing where would be, appropriate for that grant?
Yeah, I think the opportunity grant would be the best way to go with that.
But work with the venue.
Yeah. Yeah, because the venue, that's not part of their ongoing programming. That's some special event and program they want to do. Right.
We figure out that. Cool. Well, and so there's no deadline for that. That's an ongoing thing.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Thanks.
Sure.
Any other questions? We did have a good question in the chat about the funding. Is it for individual artists or nonprofits? Just in case you haven't seen that. So Serenity clarified that Humanities Tennessee does not fund individual artists. This is for organizations.
Yeah,
So,
that's correct. That's correct. Thank you, Serenity.
Yeah, that's great information to have. Okay.
I do have one more question.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take this one as the last one from Miss Melissa, and then just we've posted her email address in the chat if anybody needs her.
Yes.
Go ahead.
My question was regarding a statement you made earlier. You were saying that you don't necessarily fund the creation of art or necessarily the artist that created, but necessarily funding opportunities or the facilitation of or curation of events that promote a deeper understanding or promote avenues for a broader understanding in general of the importance of that art. Is that correct? I'm going to make sure I got you right.
Yes. So My colleague likes to say, you know, we don't fund art, but we fund talking about it. So it's, yeah, it's not the creation or the performance, but rather an exploration into what these things mean and why they're significant. So that's correct. That sort of humanities critical analysis component is what these grants are after.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure I'm understanding. All right, thank you so much, Melissa, for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for those questions. And again, Melissa's email address is in the chat. So just in keeping with time, thank you so much, Melissa, for sharing that information. And I'm sure that we'll have questions come up. But now I'd like to hand things over to Miss Serenity Gerbman. So Serenity is Humanities Tennessee's Director of Literature and Language Programs. And so she is here to share about a really cool initiative that Humanities Tennessee has going on. So I won't spoil it. Serenity, you've got the floor.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. So we do several literary programs at Humanities Tennessee that are basically council conducted. Some of you may know the Southern Festival of Books, which is our largest and best known program. And I'll just quickly give you the dates for this year, October 20, 21, 22. And we are very excited to be at a new location, which is the Bicentennial Mall, Tennessee State Library, and Tennessee State Museum. So all of that is on our website, and announcements are coming. We'll have a big announcement coming towards the end of March, but we would love to have all of you. And if any of you would like to volunteer or to host a session or to be involved in a direct way, please email me. We are always looking for good folks like you. And then I quickly will mention too that our Young Writers Workshop, which is a program for 9th through 12th graders, it's a residential week-long writing workshop in partnership with East Tennessee State University, will be this year, starting June 11th that week, and application process is now open. So if you have or know a teenage writer who would be interested in this program, please visit our website for that as well. It's a real life-changing experience, as some of you may know, when young writers come from across the state and find their people. And then the last thing I'll mention quickly, and then I'm going to do a short PowerPoint about our program I really want to focus on, is that we have a program called Student Reader Day, for which we take authors into underserved schools and purchase a book for every student who is participating in the program. And this Student Reader Day takes place all year long around the state, just based on who puts in requests and what our resources are and what authors we have that we can get there. So that again is on our website. If you're interested, you can reach out to me and I can route you appropriately. And that also is all the programs are great, right? Today I want to talk specifically about our program called chapter16.org, and I'm going to share screen and try not to be too sloppy about it. So Chapter 16 was founded in 2009, basically as a response to the fact that newspapers were no longer running book-related coverage, especially covering local and Tennessee authors and author events. So the site reviews, not every, but we certainly try to hit all the major new releases by Tennessee authors every year, and some with the more regional interest and authors who are significant, who are touring within the state. And here's what we offer on the site: reviews, multiple every week. So if you really want to be looped into what's going on with writers in Tennessee, this is a great first stop resource. We also run poetry. We solicit poetry from Tennessee poets and often run an excerpt from a forthcoming book, also in other things as well. For example, we just this week are running an excerpt from a book by Dr. Yasmin Ali about the Waverly train disaster that led to the founding of FEMA, which is a great, fascinating subject related to Tennessee history. The essay section I want to point out specifically, because that is the one place on the site where we do solicit manuscripts or submissions or ideas from anyone in the general public. So the editor of Chapter 16 is Maria Browning, and Maria's email I'll put in the chat at the end. It's maria@humtn.org. But and essays are, you know, where anyone can send an idea or a completed essay, and obviously we don't take them all, but it is a good place if you're interested in writing or know someone who's interested in that to sort of get your foot in the door at the site. The site publishes 4 days a week, 48 weeks out of the year. When we founded Chapter 16, we were worried about, you know, would we be able to have enough content to populate a site? And this is how wealthy we are in literature. We have absolutely no problem filling the site with this much content, 4 days a week, 48 weeks a year, which tells you how rich and varied and diverse the writing community in the state is. And we're really proud of that. This is really important, and you all, many of you probably are working artists. We pay for all content on the site, and we feel very fortunate to be able to do that. So if you submit an essay and we accept it, we'll pay you. If you want to come on as a reviewer and review books, we'll pay you. It's not a ton of money, but it's something, and it feels important to make that statement in support of working artists. We do have a sort of a regular group of freelance writers. Most are in Tennessee across the state. A few have moved, you know, here and there in the country. But we also are always open, especially to diverse writers. So again, you would want to reach out to Maria if this is something that's of interest to you. I can skip. This is just where we are in social media: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find us chapter16.org. I want to point out especially, we have 4 media partners across the state, and we feed content every week to these newspapers, and you'll see that the Chattanooga Times Free Press is one of them. So I actually just checked this morning to see when the last piece was that posted, and it was February 18th. It was a review of a book about Ulysses Grant's formative years. And if you know to look for it or start looking for it, you will always see the Chapter 16 Program of Humanities Tennessee byline. This is probably the most important thing that we do, because this is how local Tennessee related book coverage gets in some of the biggest newspapers in the state. It would not exist otherwise. They don't pay book critics anymore. So we are providing a service that supports writers and supports bookstores and supports readers. And it's really key and crucial to what we do. Through these 4 main media partnerships, we reach about 500,000 people every week. The site runs on a Creative Commons license, and if you're not familiar with that, it means that every single thing that's published on the site is available to anyone else to publish. And we're a nonprofit, and the idea is to get the content out there. The rules that apply to that are that if you republish one of our pieces, you have to run it without changes. You can't charge people to access. In other words, it can't be behind a paywall, and it needs to credit Chapter 16 as a source. But a number of other publications in Tennessee share our content. The State Museum blog does. There's a little small paper in Norris, Tennessee that runs our content on the regular, and we're very proud of that and looking for opportunities for people to take more advantage of that. So we'd love to talk to you about that if you have a publication and you think it might be a good fit. This is basically just so I can tell you that if you want to read a long, great piece about Chapter 16, we were profiled a couple of years ago in the New Yorker magazine, which was obviously a huge honor and also a complete fluke, because Casey Sepp, who wrote the piece, was an author on the program at the book festival with a book about Harper Lee, and through being there and talking to the staff, she became familiar with the site. Found it really fascinating, the model that we've set up. It's a little bit unusual, and did a long profile, so you can find that if you go searching for Chapter 16 in the New Yorker magazine. You can read it, and it's great, and it gives a lot of background about what the site does and how it was founded and its mission, and talks to a lot of the contributors. And then also the other thing is just, this was mainly for our board, actually, James is on the call, to note that Chapter 16 received the Schwartz Prize from the National Endowment for the Humanities a few years ago, which is a prize that's given every year for excellence in programming. So I want to share with you some of our goals for the site. And one of them is increased awareness, which is part of why we're here today. If you would follow Chapter 16 on Instagram, especially, or Twitter or Facebook, and share those posts that you think are interesting, let people know that the site exists. There's a fantastic weekly newsletter that includes, it drops every Monday, and Maria shares at the top of the newsletter every week sort of news and notes of interesting things that are going on in the publishing world. So if a Tennessee writer has gotten a book deal or has a particularly interesting magazine piece somewhere or is interviewed somewhere. So that's a great way. Just getting the newsletter will keep you plugged in to what's going on in the writer community in the state. And I just cannot recommend enough that I know everyone has so many newsletters in their inboxes, but this is a quick 5 minutes that will help keep you informed about things that are happening. We are working on a redesign and refresh of the site that we're very excited about. It's a long-standing goal, sort of visually. And then the final thing I'll mention on that is under inclusivity. Obviously, that's a big word that accomplishes a lot of things. We are very proud that we recently founded a fellowship connected to the site. It's called the Humanities Tennessee Fellowship in Criticism. And the goal specifically is to work with writers of diverse backgrounds who have an interest in literary criticism as a viable career. And our first scholar there is a librarian by the name of, okay, did I stop sharing? Okay, Kashif Graham.
We actually don't have slides up.
I was like,
Okay, yeah,
did you ever start sharing?
Yeah.
I'm like,
oh no, I'm so sorry. Did it not share? Oh
no, man, but we've been listening intently.
Yeah,
to every
I'm
word.
so sorry, y'all. I've been just scrolling through these slides. Like, you know what? It's probably time-wise not worth going back through them. If
You can always send them to me, and I can
Yeah,
share them
I'll-
with the group who is here today.
Yeah.
But
that would be
as
great.
you've
I
been going, I've
apologize,
been
y'all.
posting all the links you've got in our
I was
chat.
just, like,
So
scrolling
it's
through
Friday,
the
y'all.
slides, trying to be quick and get through all the information. So I'm sorry about that. So that's chapter 16. I'm happy to answer questions about that or take comments or suggestions about that. But we really primarily wanted to share this program with you because getting word about what chapter 16 and what it does is an ongoing effort that we rely on the public to help us put out into the world.
Any questions for Miss Serenity?
I have a question. I don't know if it's a question or more of a statement, but in 2018, during the pandemic, I self-published a book, and as a person of color and as a person that is also identifies as queer, like it sounds like what I've done would be kind of a perfect fit for what you guys are trying to do. Now, my question is, are y'all making efforts, are there efforts being made to kind of like really reach out to communities of people like myself, that to really get those diverse voices into chapter 16, because I'd love to assist with that if, efforts are not being made or trying to be made, but I definitely would love to be involved with that.
Yes, absolutely. And please reach out to me after this and let's talk. I will say, chapter 16 does not cover self-published books by anybody. And that is merely because there's absolutely no way to evaluate the volume of submissions that we get. But we make a really strong effort to publish books from diverse writers across all different kinds of communities. And I especially would encourage you to get in touch with us about the essay section and about potentially being a reviewer for the site, both of which we would be very interested in.
Fantastic. I will
Thank
definitely reach out. Thank you.
Other folks with questions?
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Serenity.
We'll get the PowerPoint out so
Yeah,
you can see how all the greatness.
if you'll send it to me, I will definitely share it, because I know we've got some teachers within Hamilton County Schools that are also interested in this. And so obviously 10:30 is not an opportune time for our teachers to jump out. But thank you so much, ladies, for sharing that information. And I can attest that both of these lovely ladies are very accessible and very responsive. And so we so appreciate that. So now I wanted to jump into something a little bit different. We've talked about the literary arts. And so we have a friend here with TriStar Arts, Brian Jobe, who we asked to jump on today to talk to us about this great concept called the Tennessee Triennial, of which Chattanooga is participating. And hopefully you had the opportunity at the end of last week to participate in some of the Chattanooga activities that were going on. If you did not, I wanted to invite Brian on to talk to you all about introduce you to the Triennial and to talk about the existing Chattanooga opportunities that you need to take advantage of while this is going on. So Brian, thanks so much for being here. Go ahead and jump in.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks for the invitation. Good morning, everyone. We are so excited about the Tennessee Triennial because it continues our vision for Tennessee as a state where dynamic contemporary visual art happens, that each city and each scene has such a rich part to play, but taken as a whole, the state is a powerful place where a visual language is spoken, where people can really connect in powerful ways. And our programming is varied. In addition to the Triennial, our home base is here in Knoxville at the historic Candoro Marble Building, where we have a gallery and artist studios. We also have an annual grant called the Current Art Fund, our granting program, which has an open call spanning the summer every year. And we have a web resource that has been around for a few years called locatearts.org that helps people find contemporary art on view in the state and artists who are working here. So the Triennial is sort of a moment for celebration. It's a moment to take stock of really everything that's already here, that's already happening, the artists who are already practicing here, and to invite some other artists nationally and internationally into the mix to celebrate with us. So our Tennessee Triennial is a program that is happening for the first time this spring, but has been a labor of love that has been 8 years in the making to get to this point. I founded TriStar Arts with my wife, Carolyn Jobe, and she continues to work for the organization alongside me. I'm the director, and the Triennial is something that can be experienced in lots of different ways. It can be experienced through our highlight weekends like we just had in Chattanooga, but it can also be experienced in your own time, locally, as well as through a wayfinding experience that you can create going across the state. So, Amy, am I able to share my screen?
You will be in just a second.
Okay.
Now you can.
Great. All right. I'm just going to pull up this slideshow, and we're going to just go through this as I continue to talk. The Triennial's theme this year is repair, and it's been authored by our consulting curator, Magda Campos-Pons, who's a globally acclaimed artist and Vanderbilt professor in Nashville. The Triennial's theme is a way for participating venues to rally around that concept and build their shows locally. So what I'm describing to you is unusual. There is a precedent over the past 100+ years for biennials and triennials to happen in the US and around the world. So these are just shows that happen usually in one place or one region every 2 years or every 3 years. What is unique about the Tennessee Triennial is really two things: that it's happening across the state at the same time in Memphis, Nashville, Chattanooga, and Knoxville, and that it's a horizontal model in which we have this beautiful theme which acts as a prompt and an inspiration for the curators and staff of each of the participating venues to respond to with an exhibition that relates in some way to that theme. And so the Tennessee Triennial is locally curated in that way. So in that way, it's unique as a bottom-up structure instead of more of a top-down administrative thing with the curator picking all the selected artists. So that's unique. And I think both of those facets of how many cities and venues are participating and the agency given to each venue is unique to Tennessee. It's a wide state. There's a lot going on, and the structure for it can't be formulaic. It has to be suited to the needs of the state. So, Amy, perhaps this is a PDF that you can share afterwards as well, because there is some density to this. This is also stuff that's already on the website. So I'm going to pull up the training website here shortly. But we have a lot of these venues with artists that have been selected by the individual venues. So again, that's unique to the Tennessee Triennial. And on the slide, you can see the participating artist on the right in Chattanooga. So it's more exciting, I think, to go to the website. So we'll pull that up here. The things that you would navigate here, besides just the theme and what's coming up, are the touch points for how to experience the Triennial. So first, here's the theme. You can think about this as the prompt, as the way that venues have entered into the process through building this into their exhibitions and the selection of their artists. The venues, west, middle, and east. So east, you can see the Chattanooga venues here on the right. And we also have community venues. So in Chattanooga, that includes Wavelength Space. Wavelength still has a show on view. And you'll want to check the dates because there are some variations from the overall Triennial dates. Here's a page with the artists. The announcements page includes suggested itineraries. So we'll have one coming up for Memphis as well. So for folks who participated in the Chattanooga weekend, this was what they looked at and considered when they could attend and what they wanted to attend from what happened. But these venues are all still open. So there's a real flexibility to you finding the time to experience the work in a schedule that fits your life. The events here are statewide. So this is just a collection of everything coming up. It's particular to our official venues, and when there are open hours listed, those are particular to highlight weekends. So, and then we have an interactive map in which you can find what's going on in your city. So going back to the homepage, one thing we have coming up next week is the Nashville Highlight Weekend. So if you're up for a small road trip to Nashville, you can take part in any of the events happening on the 4 days of the highlight week over in Nashville. And there will continue to be events added here as we draw closer to March 1st. So there's a fair number of things happening. And then beyond that, things in Memphis in April. So you have a chance to travel. It's an opportunity, but the experience that you can have with the Triennial, I would say, is telescoping. It's something that allows you to experience it in a rich way locally, and to augment that with any travel that you desire or is possible for you to do. So that is just a brief glimpse at that. I don't want to spend too much time on the site because you can discover that on your own. But the Tennessee Triennial is something that is meant to honor the state as a place where visual art happens, in addition to lots of other creative and artistic things that the state is known for, things that have even been discussed on the Zoom today: writing, music, and craft. And so I think that hopefully it serves as a time of celebration for Tennesseans to take stock of how rich their contemporary visual art scene is, and to experience it in this way through these touch points.
Thank you so much, Brian.
Yeah.
You've got a friend at UTC. Angela Dittmar just commented how great this information's been, and it has been. So thank you so much for sharing, and please do be in touch with us as soon as you've got next year's schedule as well, because we want to send even more folks to the Chattanooga experience. But you've still got time to experience other areas if you did not get to experience it last weekend. But the work is still up, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. And the work will be up through the end of the Triennial?
Yeah, for many venues, it'll be up through May 7th or beyond. I believe the UTC show closes a bit early to accommodate a student show, but you still have, I think, about 3 weeks to get over and see that one. So you have time. But, you know, Chattanooga is a rich art scene. When people ask about what makes up the uniqueness of the state, I share about Chattanooga's rich artist community, studio community. It's a place where artists really are outward facing towards the public, but also encouraging towards one another. I've seen that time and time again. And one good thing about East Tennessee not being particularly known as a place where for the art market is that artists can experiment. It's a place where there's been lots of experimental art spaces where artists feel free, you know, not to have, you know, market pressures and people looking over their shoulder to try new things and allow their work to evolve. And that's something that is a hallmark of the region and something I look forward to seeing in future years.
Well, thank you so much for that. And is it okay that we share your email address in case people have specific questions about either attending or submissions in the future?
Right. Yeah, you definitely can share my email address. So there isn't an open call for artists. It's for venues to curate on their end. So we have essentially delegated the feel of the Triennial, the roster that gets accumulated is decided locally by each participating venue. So that's part of the uniqueness of the program, that it's not a top-down selection or our idea of greatest hits. It's particular to the venue and the kind of programming that each venue wants to do. But yes, feel free to share my email address, and thanks to everyone for
and we've got one question that came through in the chat. How often are you organizing the itineraries? So we'll end with that question if you could answer that for us.
So the Memphis one will go up shortly when we have a few more details confirmed. The itineraries are just collections of all the event listings particular to each city's highlight week or weekend. And so the national one, like the Memphis one, will be kind of a working webpage that will continue to have information added to it.
Okay. All right. We just had one more question. This will be the last one because I know we've got some announcements from folks in our community. So it's in the comments, it said, when you say artist, do you mean painter or any artist?
So our organization is focused on visual arts, but the ways that each particular venue has interpreted their response to the theme through their exhibition has been pretty varied. So it definitely includes visual artists, but there are community activists and musicians and people who have a visual manifestation of their work that each venue has been able to assemble, to organize into their exhibition response. So, visual arts is really like the starting point, but in contemporary art, that's an expansive term.
And I did post Brian's email address in the chat. So if you've got any questions that should pop up, go ahead and copy that right now. We'll also have this recording available on our YouTube page in just a bit after we close. So if there's anything you want to go back and revisit, feel free to do that through ArtsBuild's YouTube page. So thank you, Brian. Thank you, Serenity. Thank you, Melissa, for all participating today. This has been a lot of great information. And I will get some of these presentations to everybody. I know, Brian, you had one, and Serenity, she had one that we want to share with the community. So we've got about 10 minutes left. Wanted to see if there's any folks in who are participating today and listening today, if you've got anything to share about your organization that we want to get out to the community at large.
Amy, this is Curtis from the Sunny Daisy Community Library.
And our fourth grade hero. Thank you, Curtis.
How are you today?
Good. Just so everybody knows, we had a great time yesterday at Abba's house, helping our friends at So Lit with their fourth grade Imagine field trip. And Curtis, I have to brag on you, he is worth about 5 volunteers in one. So he did an awesome job. So thank you.
You humble me. Hey, I did want to mention that because we've got so many artists on this call, that we currently have, in conjunction with ArtsBuild, our bookmark art contest that's going on. It is open to any artists in all of Hamilton County, whether you're professional or not. We have an adult division, and entries for that are due on
by March 10th. This is Kelly with the Sunny Daisy Community Library.
Yeah. So it's due by March the 10th. So if you like cash prizes, it's a good time to get in there. It's not much, but it is a way for us to honor our artists in Hamilton County. So please submit those. You can get the information from our Facebook page, and that is at the SDCL. And I'll type that. It's at, well, no, I can't type it. Oh, there it is. It's at the SDCL is our Facebook page. The official entry form and rules and everything are on there. We'd love to see from all of our professional artists as well to submit. James McKenzie is one of the judges on this, as well as our board members. So please participate if you can.
Thanks, guys. Anybody else with announcements? I know we've got several of our community arts organizations on right now, so this is a great time to share this with our greater community.
Hey, Amy, it's Emma. I've got a
Hi.
couple things if we have time.
Another superstar volunteer from yesterday.
It was a little rainy outside on the street corner, but I had a lot of fun, and it was an incredible event. You guys deserve all the kudos. Amy especially was amazing. The way you organized everyone, it was the smoothest big field trip like that I've ever witnessed. So thank you for that experience. I wanted to say that Scenic City Shakespeare, my organization, is finishing up casting for our May production of As You Like It. We still have a couple of roles available. Rehearsals start March 13th. So if you were interested in sending us a video audition, please do. It's auditions@sceniccitysshakespeare.org, and you can find that on our website. I also wanted to say that I'm participating in a show tonight at Barking Legs Theater with Tiger Leap Productions called White Rabbit, Red Rabbit, and I'll put the link in the chat. It's a really interesting piece. There are a bunch of actors participating over the next couple weeks. Everyone has their individual performance, and you do not see the script until the evening that you do the performance. It's a really interesting piece. I know nothing about it because I'm performing it tonight at 9:30 for the first time, but there's a lot of community artists and actors that you may recognize in the casts going through the next couple weeks. So I'll put the link in the chat. If you would like to come for free, send me a message and I will get you on my ArtsBuild VIP list and you can come see the show for free. Be glad to do that. So thank you, Amy, and I'll put the link in the chat.
Already did it for you, Emma. As well as the auditions email address,
You're amazing.
auditions@sceniccitysshakespeare.org, right?
Thank you so much. Yes, that's it.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Emma. We've still got about 5 minutes if anybody's.
I think I'll take this.
Okay.
All right, hope y'all can hear me. There's a plane flying overhead. Okay, I'm Terrell Woods, representing the Black Rainbow Movement. We're new, but I created this movement in the absence of organizations that cater to people that meet at the intersectionality of race and queerness. And one of the efforts that we're doing, because I am an artist ultimately, and my art is my activism, in this particular coming month, we're coming, well, in April, we're going to be launching a film festival. And that film festival has but one major rule, and that's that you have to have a main character or a person that is part of the essential to the plot that is both queer and a person of color, and you must avoid certain representations that have been stereotypically and negatively represented for those people in those that intersection throughout media. Media representation is one of the most poignant ways that we as a people can get to know each other without necessarily living amongst each other. So those stories definitely deserve to be told. I posted our Facebook page in the chat. Please give us a like and reach out if you have anybody who might be interested in being involved.
Hey, thanks, Gerald. And also on that note, I would highly recommend that if you've not already done so, be in touch with the folks who are at the Heritage House Arts and Civic Center off of East Brainerd Road, because they do a really cool program with films. And so this might be an opportunity. Okay. All right, good. Just wanted to make sure that's exactly what these Zooms are for. So thank you for sharing that. And we always want to connect people where we can. So if you're doing something similar in the community. So great. Thank you so much. Well,
I just want to jump in real quick. Can I? Hello.
Okay. Hi, Kate.
Okay, woman over here with Art 120. Just want to let y'all please save the date for Saturday, May 13th. That's our We Make event that celebrates all things about art in our community, and with a highlight and focus on youth art and programming. We have a big place over there at Miller Park, and we have room for people and organizations that might be doing work in the community. We want to give you a space to share what you're doing so you can be reaching a lot of families and in our community with what you can do. We'll have art activities, events, art cars, and student art exhibits and performances. Please stay tuned to us so you can see and learn more about it. But if you want to join us and you want to be involved, give me a shout. I see my information. Thank you, Amy, for putting my stuff in the chat box. And I'd love to talk to you. Thanks.
Thanks, Kate. Lots of great announcements today. Thank you all for sharing this information. All right, well, I'm going to be the one to take up the last 2 minutes. So thank you, everybody, for your announcements. If you did not get to make an announcement, definitely be in touch with us at ArtsBuild if something comes up so that we can include it in ArtsWire. We need that information by every Wednesday morning so that we can put that publication together and get that out to the community. Shameless plug for ArtsBuild. We are coming up on the deadline for the Hamilton County High School Visual Arts Competition. So if you know a rising 9th grader through recent high school graduate, that means our current 8th graders can participate. We would love to have their art submitted. We want to make sure that all of our schools in Hamilton County are represented at the Hamilton County Courthouse. And hopefully this year we'll have so much art that we have to use our Chattanooga Downtown Public Library space to display that artwork from Hamilton County High School students. So the deadline is February 27th. So please get that artwork into us. There are cash prizes. First place gets $300, second place $200, and third place gets $100. I don't know about y'all, but I could use $300. Imagine having $300 as an 18-year-old. So anyway, thank you so much for everyone for being here, for sharing your information. This again is recorded and will be posted to ArtsBuild's YouTube page for you to access later. And I'll follow up with information that was shared today so you have access to that. So thank you everyone from Humanities Tennessee. Thank you, Brian from TriStar Arts. And thanks friends in the Hamilton County art community for joining us. We'll be in touch about our next regularly scheduled Friday community Zoom in March. Thanks a bunch. Bye guys.